Tonight, the Australian people have voted for change. My Labor team will work every day to bring Australians together, and I will lead a government worthy of the people of Australia.
That was the newly elected Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese, the 31st Prime Minister of Australia. He was sworn in just hours ago. For more, let's get to Australian government reporter Ben Westcott, who joins us now. So, Ben, he doesn't have a clear majority just yet. It's looking increasingly likely. But what is really kind of the makeup and the dynamic going to be for this new government?
Sure. So, I mean, when the Prime Minister of Australia changes, usually that is the biggest story of the election night. But in this case, that's not necessarily the situation. So although Albanese will become Australia's 31st Prime Minister, the big news of the night is this huge swing towards minor parties and independent lawmakers who support tough action on climate change. Now, at this point, it's looking like almost a third of Australia might have voted for neither the Labor nor the Liberal National Coalition for the first time in at least 70 years. Now, Albanese went to the election with a promise of about 40% climate emission cuts by 2030, but the Greens Party won 70%. The Independents won about 60%. So he's going to have to negotiate with both of them to try and work out what they can do that fulfills the mandates of both Albanese and these minor parties.
What does that mean in terms of pursuing policy then?
So that remains to be seen. So, I mean, Australia has two houses of parliament. It has the lower house, the House of Representatives, and the upper house, the Senate. Now, in the lower house, the government usually has a majority and they can pass whatever bills they want through there. It still remains to be seen if Albanese will have a majority in the lower house of parliament, but he should be able to count on the support of at least one of a group of minor independents. Then the Senate, though, is a different matter. In the Senate, it's looking likely that the Australian Greens will have veto power over all legislation that passes through there. Now, they say they're willing to be practical, but if Albanese doesn't go hard enough on climate change action, the Greens Party might refuse to pass his legislation, in which case he might be forced to take tougher action to cut emissions.
What are the prospects for a reset when it comes to the relationship with Beijing?
Ooh, at this point, it's looking rather uncertain. So before the election, there were reports out that the Chinese government was reaching out to both the then government, and the Labor Party to sort of discuss would there be space for a reset in relations. And previously, the new Foreign Minister, Penny Wong, has said that Australia needs to cool down its rhetoric when it comes to the Chinese government. However, the Labor Party was very careful not to be wedged by the Liberal National Government, which ran really tough on China, particularly in the last 6 months ahead of the election. It seems unlikely that they would be willing to, at least in the short term, make too much of a show of going towards Beijing. Behind the scenes, though, it might be a different picture.